Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to learn about the pivot and melt functions in Pandas. Now pivot and melt is just functions that you can use to reshape the way your data frame looks, and you guys will see a practical example of what it does to your data. First off, we're going to need to import pandas as PD, and then I'm just going to load a CSV file that I created in my pandas crash course. So pd.read_csv, and that file is called tesla.csv. And now to print this out, you guys can see this data frame looks like this. So to go ahead and melt this data, I'm going to say melt equals df.melt. And then our first parameter is going to be the ID variable, so ID_vars. And we're only going to have one. Our ID variable is going to be the date. So what this basically means, we want to keep the date column as it is, because that is used to identify the record we are referring to, and we want to melt the remaining columns. So what do we want to melt the remaining columns into? We want to melt it into the var name, and I'm going to call mine item. So you guys will see what will happen. All these columns will be melted into the item column, and then the value of those columns will go to the value name, and I'm going to call mine value. So if we print this out, this is what it will look like. So all these column names went into the item column, and the value is now appearing in the value column. So when will you use this melt function? Suppose we are using a database and we are interacting with our database using pandas, and we're going to make changes to this data frame by adding new columns like a moving average and other indicators and stuff. When we write this data frame to our database, we don't want these columns changing all the time, because we're also going to have to make changes to the schema of our database. So a way to solve that is by melting down your data frame into a record or a stacked format like this, where there's only one value column and the other columns are used to identify the value. For example, the open on the 30th of June is that. The volume on the 23rd of December 2022 is that. And there's no additional columns in here. So pivot is going to do exactly the opposite. So I'm going to create a new data frame called pivot, and I'm going to set that equal to melt data frame.pivot. And our first variable is going to be the index. So the index for this new data frame is going to be the date. And then the column names we can find in our item column. So that's going to be columns equal to item. And then finally our values can be found in the value column. If we print this out, we basically have our original data frame back. And that in a nutshell is how you do pivot and melt in pandas. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please leave a like down below and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.